Captain Zorg, stardate 6969. 420. It's me, Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Starship Enterprise, wishing you, Jeremy Reed, and your lovely podcast, Star Trek Wars, all of the best. From outer space, I guess. Engage. Make it so. All right, hurry on here. Yeah, you know, I didn't even want to do Star Trek. But they told me I was going to be doing a spooky show in outer space, but with scary robots and loud sounds. I told them that they got a better chance of finding cheese on the moon than getting me, Patrick Stewart, to be on the show. I wanted to be in one of Shakespeare's funny papers. But they told me, like, you've heard the anecdote. Why didn't make your baldness and white? That doesn't make a lick of sense. I was male and hot. The French, it's strange. They're like, you're gonna be on. Guess what, John Stewart? That's not my name. Patrick Stewart. You're gonna be on it. On our program. There's this planets. Where I was like, get out of town. Get out of whatever town I lived in at the time. Probably Liverpool, probably. Oh, was it still recording? Make it so. With a big shade. Lady big shade. Ladies Brill.
Star Trek Wars! Star Trek Wars!
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy, and welcome to Year 10 of Star Trek Wars, your official Star Trek bootleg podcast. And joining me tonight for tonight's episode? That didn't sound right. It's my son, Connor. Hello, Connor.
What? What a surprise!
You're surprised you're here?
Too bad I hate surprises. Yeah, I just kind of went to sleep last night and woke up and I'm here now.
Connor, how the hell are you?
Pretty damn good.
We got a follow-up question to the last time we talked, Connor. How is that book on the Battle of Kursk going?
Well, spoiler alert, skip ahead if you don't want to know the outcome of World War II. Surprisingly, you know, the Nazis didn't win the Battle of Kursk. If you fine folks didn't know, a lot of people say that Kursk is the largest tank battle in history. I have seen conflicting opinions about that, so I will not purport anything to be fact when I only know a fraction of what I need to know to purport things as fact. But it was a really good book. I think I got that from the library like 3 months ago. Maybe. I don't even remember when we recorded that.
It's just a book on tank wars?
No, it was about the Battle of
Kursk,
which was one of the
That's all I know.
Do you know where Kursk is?
Probably in Europe.
Yeah, Eurasia. And it's one of the last Nazi offensives during the war. The last one being the Battle of the Bulge in 1944.
Favor the Bulge.
My favorite Star Trek episode is Fortune Favors the Bulge. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I have returned my cool book about U.S. presidents, but I got a new one.
Oh, yes. What are you reading now?
I've been reading Grant by Ron Chernow, and it's really good. It's about 1,000 pages long, but it is absolutely fantastic, very vivid, painting Grant's life. And it's also, I think, very balanced, too, because until more recently, Ulysses S. Grant has just been portrayed as like an incompetent, corrupt drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been kind of a critical reevaluation of Grant in the past few decades. And a lot of that is due in part to Ron Chernow's book. But I also really like how it doesn't shy away from some of his more unsavory aspects, like there's some anti-Semitism, for instance.
Oh, Grant.
But it's really fair, and I think that Ulysses S. Grant is very unfairly maligned. So I've been having a good time with this tome, and yeah, I've just been, learning, reading, going through this crazy thing called life. And kids, if let's say I'm going to give you a tip from me to use. Okay, you're a smart audience. You're listening to this podcast, aren't you? Well, here's a little tip, buddy, from our good friends at Tipco. If you're at a party and you're trying to impress a cute dame, or a hunk.
You already lost most of our viewers.
Let's say you're trying to, gas up a cute dame, see? And, you want to impress her, Sure, Jimmy Marcus has muscles, a 4.0 GPA, his own crack den, lots of cool stuff in Jimmy Marcus's life. But what do you got? You know about the Gadsden Purchase of 1853.
I do.
It was facilitated by President Franklin Pierce, the only president to not have a chin.
Yeah, in Eurasia, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. It was the last purchase of the war. Books.
All right. Thank you, Connor. Mm-hmm. We'll hopefully get an update on that grant. I hope everything works out for him.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't die of throat cancer because he smokes 20 cigars every day.
So what you're going to hear in tonight's episode is a conversation that was cut for time in our No Apologies Tour special. Connor, you had pledged to watch some Voyager episodes, and by golly, you did. And these are the first two that you watched, the Thaw and Night. So we'll hear your thoughts on those two coming up.
That's right, Dad. You could say that my heart has really thawed towards Voyager.
I guess I could, Connor. I guess I could. As you guys are probably aware, the final season of Discovery is premiering in just 2 weeks on Thursday, April 4th. Super excited for that. So this will be the final Star Trek Wars special to air before switching over to Jordan and Jocelyn, who are returning to cover the 10-episode final run. Then once Discovery concludes after 10 weeks, we will return right back here to our special episodes for the remainder of the year. We may do some bonus non-disco Patreon specials during disco season, yet to be determined. But it will also allow myself and Connor to knock out some more episodes of our other podcast.
We have another one?
Yeah, I forgot too. It's called Bonding Together.
Is that some sort of like father and son podcast?
Yes, it is, about James Bond. And we're already halfway through that catalog.
And more is going to come sometime.
Yep. Okay, folks, that's it for business. We're going to send you now to our Voyager talk, and then we'll be back afterwards to close things out. We'll send you now to Connor's Pros and Connors, Voyager Revengeance. Now, Connor, one of the benefits of splitting this into 2 parts is we can immediately follow up on your quest to watch Voyager and Enterprise exclusively. Let's hear about these episodes and your feelings about them in our segment, Have You Tricked, Brother?
Brother. Oh, I'm tricked.
Let me tell you something, Buster. I'm a bit of a busy man, when I'm not, getting black bagged by foreign governments. I'm watching episodes of the hit TV show Star Trek Voyager.
Yes.
Now, some people would say, Connor, you promised to watch Voyager and Enterprise. Where? Show me the evidence.
I don't see none.
I didn't say that. And if you think I did, you're lying. And you're literally gaslighting me. So,
Connor, after that excerpt from the book, I don't think anybody is going to be threatening you again.
Yeah, you better not. Because I'll call you a pedophile, then I'll cry and I'll run away.
Stop spoiling book 2 for me, Connor.
Okay, look. Here's what's important, guys. I watched a lot of Voyager episodes, and don't worry, Enterprise fans. Sometime this millennium, I'll keep my promise. If you re-elect me, I'll definitely lower taxes this time and definitely watch Enterprise. So tune in next time. But anyway, I watched some Voyager episodes.
Great.
And there's two I really want to highlight here.
Okay.
One was something that I remember. I guess you could put it in the regret section posthumously. And that is the Thaw,
Oh, yes.
which I think we just lambasted horribly.
I'm sure of it. Yeah. With the great. Oh, my God.
The clown, but I'm forgetting who plays him.
Oh, my God. Yeah. That's embarrassing. I know exactly who he is.
But you can just add it in post.
Spinal Tap, Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay. I was like, are you just listing things that you know? Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Game of Thrones.
I'm just saying the random words that unlock you as the Winter Soldier.
That turned me into the Connor Reed from the book. See, I'm a mild-mannered nerd by day, but then my dad whispers the kill phrase, hot dog banana sandwich, and then I become a killing machine. So I watched The Thaw.
Michael McKean.
Oh,
Of course. I'm sorry. So the Thaw.
which I remember just like lambasting every single aspect of it. I think I probably gave it like a 3 or something, like ridiculously low. I think this episode's really great. I genuinely enjoyed it a lot. So here's the brief synopsis of the episode, gang.
Yes.
So Voyager and company are zooming down to this planet on the behest of America's sweetheart, Neelix, because it's a massive trade hub in this sector. But then they get there, and the entire planet is completely frozen over. It's a complete hellscape. But all the life signs remaining on the planet are a few kilometers below ground in these hibernation pods, essentially. So the Voyager crew beam down to, this pod room, essentially, which has all these people. I think there's 5 of them, 3 left, 3 alive. And they beam down, 2 of them are dead. And the other 3 are alive, but they have, I forget what technobabble they use, but essentially they have a lot of like adrenaline going, like they're freaked out.
Yeah.
Essentially. So B'Elanna Torres and Harry Kim put themselves into the 2 pods, which don't have living occupants, and they go into this simulation to talk to the survivors, saying, we can get you out, because importantly, their hibernation was supposed to end about 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, rather.
Right.
It was supposed to end after 15 years. It's been 19, and they still haven't woken up. So what they do is they go in there, and then it's amazing. It's basically like a massive, it's like a carnival, because the computers scan the people's brains every few minutes, and it kind of warps the simulation to their desires. Mm-hmm. So you have all these extras, and they're amazing in this episode. And I love the costume design for all of them. And it's like a carnival. Everyone's dressed, has like clown masks, or like these very theatrical kind of masks. You have this guy with like a big tiki head you see a few times in the episode.
Yeah, just pure nightmare fuel.
Yeah. And then at first you're like, oh, this is interesting, but it's so utterly bizarre and eerie, really. And then you meet Fear Clown, not to be confused with the other Fear Clown. When did this one come out? This is like mid-90s. So this is after the hit Tim Curry It miniseries.
Yeah, this is season 2, I want to say.
Which means only one thing. Voyager ripped off Stephen King.
How could they?
How? Those maniacs. Now, Fear is absolutely fantastic. I think he's a criminally underrated one-off villain. I genuinely was... I wasn't scared through this episode, but I genuinely was just... It's just an off-putting episode. I would say that the scariest episode of Star Trek, not even scary, but the one that just gets my hairs raised, is, oh god, Where Silence Has Lease.
Is that the one with that weird thing in the view screen?
Yeah,
the Geely or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it wants Picard to show it what sex is.
Excuse me.
You remember that? He explains how like Picard has to explains what like reproduction is to Nagili, and then he's like, demonstrate. And then Picard politely declines. Am I misremembering that? I swear. I don't know. This might be a new sweet spot.
It's a pretty traumatic episode. I'm probably just protecting myself.
Is this blocked out in your mind?
Yeah.
You just have CIA black tape over that whole episode.
I don't remember that weird creature asking Picard to show him sex.
Where is it? Where are you hiding it? That's my Connery persona. Who's sex? What sex? And where is he? I need answers, punk. The school board, and everyone's parents won't tell us what it is.
Connor, you promised you would just stick to your podcast persona for Star Trek Wars.
Oh, God. Oh,
I know it's been a burden that you could finally show who you really are, but
I'll suppress that for you, Dad. Don't worry. I'll suppress who I truly am to make you more comfortable.
Just stick to your original cover story. You're my son.
Right.
You're American.
Exactly.
You love Star Trek.
I'm not. I wasn't an alien scraped off of a moon rock and cloned in a lab to kill commies. Now, speaking of commies, Star Trek, the Thaw. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're discussing tonight. And if you want to learn more about the Thaw, look up global warming, because it's no joke.
Al Gore?
Who? So anyway, Harry, Kim, and B'Elanna, they meet up with the 3 survivors who are just these beleaguered, broken people.
They're just like, kill me. Kill me.
They just tell him, like, you have to get out of here. Like, they've resigned themselves to hell, essentially.
I would rather die also than to just be stuck in that.
Yeah, with fear, who's just incredibly unpredictable. Like they're like, what happened? It's the computer scans their brains and the simulation echoes their own thoughts and desires. But the problem was that because of the whole planet ending disaster, they were incredibly anxious. More so than anything, even though the program was designed to soothe them. So over time, the computer kind of focused on that more and more and more, to the point where fear became it's like sentient, essentially. Mm-hmm. And later, fear negotiates with Janeway via the Doctor, who's a hologram, if you don't know. And the holographic Doctor, he asks, what are your demands? And he says, I ask what everybody wants, to exist. And so they on Voyager's like, okay, well, we could make a synthetic brain. He's like, no, somebody has to stay here, because a synthetic brain won't be the same, which means he can't terrorize it.
Right. He needs a living victim to live.
Yes. So basically, Kim and B'Elanna are just tortured, but especially Harry Kim, who is, oh my God, like he just really breaks down throughout the course of the episode.
Poor young ensign.
He quotes FDR. He says, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. He doesn't quite say it like that, but he says it's like the man said.
The man.
He calls FDR the man.
FDR was the man.
That's true. That's why he was president 4 times. But there's a scene where fear puts him down on an operating table. This is where the Doctor appears, and he's recounting this horrible story from Kim's childhood, because he computer scanned his brain, so he knows everything about him. And he was with his family who were volunteering for there was a refugee crisis or something on a planet. I mean, they're in a hospital is where they're volunteering, and he wandered off somewhere where he wasn't supposed to be. And he saw people with radiation burns and just describing these horrible illnesses as Harry Kim's strapped to this operating table, and you have these clowns and horrifying freakish performers laughing and crying all on the fly, while the clown puts on a mask, which it's all connected.
It's all connected.
It's all connected, guys. This is Star Trek Voyager predicted 2020. That's going to be the thumbnail for the video. So it'll show with the clown putting on the mask, and he has surgical tools, Dr. Fauci ? And that'll draw in the clicks, and then I'm sure that won't give off the wrong impression about our values. But anyway, it's a horrifying sequence, and I was thoroughly engaged the whole time. Halfway through, they do a hostage exchange.
Yeah.
So B'Elanna is let go. Harry Kim stays because the Kim thinks it's funnier to. They call him the Kim.
The Kim.
The Kim and the Clown. That's what this episode should have been called, because the clown thinks that it's funnier to torture the Kim,
And he's got to
Torres.
be way more easier to scare than B'Elanna.
Yeah. So basically, they start negotiating through the Doctor, and then you have the end of the episode, which is the twist where Janeway gets all the hostages out and destroys Fear. I also want to mention that I really, really like Janeway.
I was going to
On
mention, because
rewatch.
the main thing I remember this is that final scene.
It's fantastic. Like, so she has a plan. She puts in a hologram of herself into the simulation. That's basically like, ha ha, I win. Basically telling Fear, like, this is a simulation. All the hostages have been exchanged. You're gonna die without any brains. And then he thinks she's bluffing, and he breaks down. And then you have the end of the episode as the simulation breaks down around him, and he says, I'm afraid. And then it ends with her going, I know. Wow.
That's pretty great.
It's utterly fantastic. I give it an 8. Great episode.
Awesome. What do you think you gave it earlier in season 2?
3.
I think you are in for quite a surprise, my friend. We actually gave it the highest scores of that episode. Connor, you gave it a 4.
Oh, really?
You did. Not bad for 12-year-old Connor. I gave it a 5. Not bad for me.
For 36-year-old Jeremy?
Yeah. Jordan gave it a 2.
Oh.
Star Trek Wars Cancel gave it a 4.83. So it has a 3.95.
Man, that's unfair. You guys got to revisit this episode. It's really good. And here's my second episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh, while you're pulling that up, Connor.
Yeah.
Remember last week when I said I got a theory about things go like anything under 4, whatever? I want to revise this. Anything that's not a 9 or a 10 or a 1 or a 2 that we score, I bet the score will increase when we watch it again. I think
Yes.
1s and 2s will probably stay near the bottom for the most part. And I think 9s and 10s are probably not going to fall. But I bet anything in between is probably real good chance of going up.
I agree. I think a lot of my 10s are also going to come down just a smidgen.
That's fair.
But I gave them out like they were candy, so. Okay. Now, the second episode that I watched was Night,
Ooh, I love Night.
which I don't remember how I scored, but I think I remember liking it.
I think you did too. That was the season 5 premiere.
I want to say so. Yeah, it was definitely season 5.
I think we really liked that episode. I'll pull it up while you're talking.
Okay, cool. So that's also the, oh God, I'm forgetting what they're called, but it's the introduction as well. Of
The garbage people.
I was about to say of the Captain Planet villains. The race of trash men. Like, they look like they smell like sewage. They look like they were constructed out of sewage. So well done. They are the galaxy's trash men, and they are coming to this bleak corner of the galaxy without stars to dump toxic waste, which seems like a great idea until you realize that there's a race of sentient beings, the horrible, ghastly little flesh monsters, who are being poisoned by toxic runoff.
Classic Star Trek
Yes.
idea.
And it is a great Star Trek episode. And I also think, and I will always be sad that Voyager abandoned seasonal arcs after season 2 because of a certain somebody. Because, like, the Year of Hell was supposed to be the entire season was it season 4?
Yes.
Yeah. And then that was scrapped, so they made it a 2-parter.
How upset would you have been if that entire season was time erased at the end of the season.
I don't know. I think I might be less. I mean, okay, it's worse than it being a two-parter and they erase it at the end, but I think the overall content, I think, would have been stronger.
Yeah, you had some really great episodes. Although season 4 is pretty strong as it is, but
yeah.
That would definitely been more the like Battlestar Galactica model, which I don't know if you've
the original or
the remake Ronald D. Moore created.
Yeah. I've never. Okay, here's the thing. I've never seen the remake.
You know what, Connor? Don't feel bad. Chelsea and I didn't see it either until about 2 years ago.
I heard it's great.
It was the number one thing on my list of things I knew I would love but never watch. So we eventually got around to it. It's brilliant. And it was basically, Ronald D. Moore was on Voyager for about 2 weeks after Deep Space Nine ended and quit because of,
because they made, I think it was a note from Rick Berman that the Maquis have to wear Starfleet uniforms starting with episode 2.
He just had a ton of ideas coming off of Deep Space Nine about really cool, and was just shot down. Like, we can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. So he left, and it basically made Battlestar Galactica, which is, about like basically a ship on its own, and kind of created the Voyager he wanted to create. And it is incredible. Now streaming on Peacock.
Sponsored. I've only seen the original, and it's, I like that country singer Lorne Green, who's also in Bonanza. He's in Battlestar Galactica.
I've never seen any of the original.
Okay, so we're the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But
not the way you think we would be.
No, it's very strange. That's kind of our dynamic in general, though.
That's true.
Is like, like I'm fairly knowledgeable about Star Trek, but you're like the Star Trek guru. Like if I have a question about like what Star Trek episode, oh, family.
Yeah. But then it comes to music. You love Marty Robbins, and I'm huge into Doji Cat.
You like, oh God, Demi Lovato?
Yeah.
You're a big pop hit fan of the latest Teen Bops.
Just a top 20 Teen Bop guy. I love Demi Moore. I love Dojo Cat.
Oh my God. What are you, Ashton Kutcher?
I get that reference.
Hey. But it's like I'm like the Lord of the I'd consider myself the Lord of the Rings guru. I know a fair deal.
Oh yeah.
Hey kids, if you ever want to get into the Silmarillion, don't.
The more you know.
It's a waste of time, and it's dumb, and I didn't get it, and where are the pretty pictures? But anyway, Night. I think that's what we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Night is a really fantastic episode, and another that makes me wish that we had like long, seasonal arcs on this show to explore these really fascinating ideas.
Oh yes, because they're in this is where they're in that space with no stars, right? So it's really affecting the crew and Janeway specifically.
Yeah, they're in basically like a void in space. The sunless sky, so to speak. There's no stars. It's just black. And even you as the viewer kind of feel it too, because there's no stars when a character's like looking out the window. It's just black. You look at like Janeway's cabin. She doesn't even have lights on, I guess. But it's all black. And I think they've been in there for 2 months, I want to say, 3 months. And this journey is going to take them a few years. 2 years, I believe.
And it's already like taken a huge toll on everyone.
And I do have one critique about Neelix. I want to say, I know that contradicts something. It doesn't contradict. I feel like
because you're on record for your old apologies saying he is a good character.
Yes. Okay. So we've got that established. This is not pointless Neelix bashing. I think my problem with Neelix on the show after his first appearance, because I actually really like his in the first episode. I really in the Caretaker.
Yes.
Cool. I actually really like his persona in Caretaker because his bumbling kind of like you look at him and he's like a bumbling doofus, so to speak, but it's all a ploy. And then he shows his true cunning in the first encounter with the Kazon, which I really like. But as time went on, it seems like they forgot that it was a ruse.
Right.
Like his bumbling oafishness. Like, I don't hate Neelix, but he'll just like suggest like really stupid stuff a lot. But I still stand by what I said about Neelix. But anyway, so they're having like these meetings, and Chakotay basically is the intermediary between Janeway and the crew, because this broad just wants to stay in her cabin, and nobody knows why. Except, like, Tuvok has a hunch, which proves to be correct. And I want to talk about Tim Russ, because he's absolutely fantastic, and I think genuinely really underrated. Tuvok may be a contender for my favorite character on this show.
Wow.
I really love his performance.
Yeah, Tim Russ is phenomenal.
He's also in other Star Trek things. He's in is it season 6 or 7 for TNG?
6 in Starship Mine.
Starship Mine. I was like, I forget if that's 6 or 7. Okay, cool. He's in that one, which is what everyone calls Die Hard in Space. He's in, is it the Voyage Home or Undiscovered Country?
Generations.
Oh my God, so way off.
Yeah, he's on the Excelsior.
Okay. It was the uniform threw me off because he's wearing. I was like, I thought it was one of those TOS.
And he's
movies.
also a Klingon on Deep Space Nine for an episode.
Oh,
and he also appears on Deep Space Nine as Mirror Tuvok.
Oh my God. See, this is why you're on the. I don't know what I'd do without you. Meander is the answer to that question. But anyway, so they're in this horrible void, and then there's like a huge like bump, like everyone's like shaking, like what's going on? We literally cannot see anything. Our sensors aren't picking anything up, but we just ground to a halt. Power's out, and this also, I believe, introduces the Bride of Chaotica.
Oh, right.
Or just Chaotica, which I love as a fan of dinosaur science fiction. I love Flash Gordon, and especially when I was a kid, I loved like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon and ray guns. And this is kind of a homage to like Forbidden Planet, just that kind of stuff.
Bride of Chaotica rated very high on Star Trek Wars. I think that is number 6 all time for Voyager. So
oh my God,
that's number
really?
6.
As it should. A great episode.
Yep, a 10 from you.
Oh, okay, good. I was about to say, whatever I gave it, it deserves higher. But you know what? Excellent. I'm glad I made a wise decision with that. Bride of Chaotica is so good. Oh, Leslie Nielsen was in Forbidden Planet. A lot of people don't know that because he was a dramatic actor before he was in Airplane.
That's what makes him so good. He was a dramatic actor in Airplane, too. That's what made him so funny.
Oh, I'm serious. And don't call me Shirley. Anyway, so they're on the holodeck doing Tom Paris is doing the Chaotica sequence, and then power's out, and then he's with Seven, and oh my God, there's a scene where this like goofy robot is like, human of Earth, I will destroy you kind of thing, and she says, I am Borg, and just like reaches into the robot's chest and like induces the black sleep of Kali Ma on him and just rips his circuits out, just like, I am Borg, and just kills him. And then she's like, are we finished? Power goes out, and then they're stuck in there. They're looking for a flashlight, which thankfully one of the things he has on the holodeck with him is a flashlight, something his character has, but he put it down, so he's looking for it, and then he grabs it, turns it on, looks around, and then it goes, wah! And there's this horrible little flesh demon who burns his face and is incapacitated by Seven with a phaser. And they bring that little dude to the doctor, but they're all over the ship just running around. And poor Neelix, I felt really bad for Neelix in this episode because he's just like quivering in a corner. He's like, I saw something, and Chakotay finds him. And he's really rattled. And then you see these little guys like running around screaming. And Janeway's just prowling the ship with a gun. She's like, we got intruders on board. There's more of them. So they incapacitate all of them. And then there's like 8, or there's not 8, there's like 3 ships that pop up, and Voyager's about to fight him until the trash man comes in his battle barge of destruction and garbage. And it's a really great design too. It's huge. It's a huge ship, and most of the space is just reserved for like toxic waste and guns. Star Trek has never been political. I want to make that very clear. This is not pro-environmentalism. That would be political. This is just saying don't, trash space.
Hey, we don't take stances like that on the podcast, Connor.
No, we don't, especially not with Shell as one of our key sponsors and the Koch brothers. That's the only reason we can keep this podcast in the green is we've sold our soul for oil baron money. By the way, I think that solar power is worse for the planet than coal.
Oh, why do you say that, Connor?
Well, it wasn't because I was paid to. That's an original thought. I think that solar panel, it comes from the sun, and the sun's just made out of fire. We believe in helping the planet, but fire kills trees.
Yeah, why help the planet? Well, we could just help ourselves.
Just play the we're in the money, we're in the money. Anyway, so they speak to the trash man, and I actually really like his character. He's kind of a cartoon villain, as you would expect, but he's kind of he's sinister, and I think he has really he's kind of interesting motivations. He blows away, I think, like 2 of these ships, and they also have their cool, like, sleek, very alien designs, which contrast with his massive battle barge of doom. He hails them, and he's like, I help you destroy them. I expect to be compensated. He doesn't really talk like that, but I guess that's more how I imagine everyone on the internet speaks, more so than this character. But he expects to be compensated. He tells them that there's actually I don't remember. It's not a wormhole.
Some kind of like portal or something that they use to traverse between.
Yeah,
spaces.
that takes literally years off.
Yeah.
The trip. That's somewhere very close by that only he knows about, and he'll tell them where it is if Voyager hands over one of the little goblin men who's in their sickbay. And of course, Janeway's like, okay, well, why? What are you going to do? And he's like, I'm not telling you. It's none of your business. She's like, well, it is our business what you're going to do with him. We're not just going to hand this guy over for no reason.
Yeah, Janeway.
And he says, okay, cool. Well, you can either meet me there or not, but I'm not taking you with me unless you hand him over. So have a good think about it. And then, communication cuts out, and Janeway's like, let's go have a talk with our prisoner over at sickbay. So they go down the sickbay, and they talk to this poor guy, and he explains, the Malon. The Malon are the garbage men of the galaxy. It's a new Marvel product coming this year. I look forward to that and 18 other shows and movies. But the little goblin man explains that the Malon, and I really like the makeup for both of these races, a lot stronger than the typical potato like McDonald ridges that we get for most Star Trek races. So good on you guys, especially for the one-off race of these little void dwellers, because they look genuinely terrifying in the dark. When they're lit up, they're like, oh, okay. It's like, you guys are fine. But Voyager did some good makeup stuff, like the Phage. I need to rewatch that one with the
that'd be worth
Vidians.
rewatching.
They should have been the main villains instead of the Kazon. Wouldn't that have been, oh my god, that would have been way better.
Because they're pretty scary. Like just as a thing that they are. Like they're nasty. And they got the disease, but they just like want your skin. Like that's terrifying.
And they acknowledge that it's awful too.
Yeah.
Like they don't like what they have to do to survive, but they have to steal Neelix's lung, or I think it was both lungs actually.
Yeah,
they steal both of his lungs. I need to rewatch the Phage because that's a great episode.
Yeah, forgot about that one.
But anyway, he explains that the Vidians are poisoning this sector of space which they live in, and they don't care. But the Vidians are so technologically superior to them that there's not really much that they can do, and they've lost a lot of people, and they're all dying. Like they're all being poisoned. So then Voyager goes to negotiate, and they tell the guy, like, we have this kind of technology. I think it's, oh my God, you know what it is. I'm forgetting the techno babble, but essentially the runoff that comes from their warp core, they can like recycle that and turn that into energy to power other things like the holodeck and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's infinite energy, essentially, like recycling waste into energy harmlessly.
And infinite combinations.
Ooh. What? Infinite diversity. Ick. But anyway, so the guy agrees. He beams down, and he looks at the blueprints, essentially, for this device. And he explains, like, well, okay, I was genuinely hoping that you didn't have this technology. Because beforehand, he was like, oh, this is amazing. This will make things better, and this will improve our lives and make everything easier. I wish you didn't have this. And they're like, what? He's like, well, I'd be out of business.
That's a great twist.
Yeah, and that's what it's a very Star Trek kind of thing to happen. And even though, realistically, if this guy brought the technology to his planet, he'd be the richest man in their, society, easily.
But he loves dumping garbage.
But he loves trash. And you know what? You got to respect that. This working Joe, he doesn't care what these eggheads have tinkered up. If you want to throw trash in the ocean, there's plenty of ocean, man.
Yeah. Why didn't you invite me?
Yeah. Fish can live somewhere else. Like a river or something. I don't know. Find out. Just 18 minutes go by. Not a single one of us say a word. But he's like, I was hoping that you were over-exaggerating about these schematics. But no, these are the real deal. It explains that this is his job, and he's not going to jeopardize that, even if it would objectively be better for society, for his own people, for the galaxy. He just doesn't care. And so he leaves. Everyone is furious. I think he gets like yelled out and escorted to the teleporter. And basically what happens is they give an ultimatum to stop poisoning this place, and they exchange phaser fire. And Voyager's a pretty strong ship, a lot stronger than I remember it being, because it's like a science vessel, but it's not like the Equinox.
Yeah.
Which was a full-fledged slugger little science vessel that could.
But these Malons, their weapons are real strong, right?
Yeah, because the ship's massive. And what room isn't being used to store hazardous waste is being used to store huge guns. Because he wipes out the little Void people's ships in like a single shot. And Voyager cripples his ship because a lot of there's so much waste on so many decks that it's like eroding the hull of his ship. So they punch through the shields, but Voyager is almost disabled. But then the little Void people come and save the day.
Yeah.
Because Voyager helped them out. And they blow up the Malon ship. They kill that guy. They blow him up with the help of the little Void dudes. And then
he died doing what he loved.
taking out the trash. Oh, that's where Janeway says, time to take out the garbage.
Right.
a classic, a staple. And on their way out, they use that vortex to get out of the void, and they shoot a photon torpedo, one of their infinite numbers, to close the void or the portal behind them, which I think is pretty awesome. So I really enjoyed this episode.
And then like that, you get to the moment where they actually get to the stars, and it's a great moment.
It's very earned.
Yeah. You love this episode, actually, Connor.
Oh, did I?
And we all did. Night is number 4 top-rated Voyager episode. And I really feel sick about this. I gave it the lowest score. I gave it a 7. I couldn't tell you why. Like, I remember us loving that episode. Connor, you gave it a 10.
To be fair, I gave yesterday's Enterprise a 9, I think. Which I think I've posthumously bumped up.
Yeah, you gave this a 10, and this was season 5. So Lita gave it a 10. Jordan gave it an 8. I gave it a 7. Council gave it a 8.94. So yeah, 4th rated episode. Great episode.
But yeah, that's what I've been trekking, brother. And you know what? I want to say this about this Voyager show. You know, like, I think my problem with it is more so the behind the scenes stuff. Like Rick Berman, how he treated cast and crew, how he treated like Ronald E. Moore. A lot of like, I think, how many showrunners did Voyager have? I want to say 3 or 4. And a lot of that is, I'm not like blaming solely Rick Berman for people like the showrunners leaving, because a lot of those people had been involved in Star Trek for decades.
Yeah, like Brandon Braga, Jerry
Taylor,
who've
been doing Star Trek for like at the very least like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
But like there's just a lot of behind the scenes stuff and so much wasted potential of great ideas that weren't allowed to be executed on for arbitrary reasons that it's just, I don't know.
Mixed with our own personal bias going in, like it was not a good mix. But
yeah, like we want to make it clear, like there you can have legitimate criticisms of every Star Trek show, which we're still doing. We're just trying to be a little bit more objective instead of just like, because I came into every Voyager episode, how am I gonna rip this apart? This is dumb. And then if there's a great episode of Voyager, I'm like, okay, begrudgingly, this is kind of good, but it's still stupid. And that's not fair at all.
Connor, we covered all that last week in our all apologies story. We're not about that anymore.
Exactly. So, but when I came in, I did think with a fresh perspective, not necessarily with, oh, this is going to be great, but just like, okay, it's not like I'm just here to observe.
Wow me.
Make me laugh.
The Thaw.
I hate when people say that. People are like, oh my God, hey, tell me a joke. And then I either won't, or I'll just think of some like corny, like 1950s suit and tie comic material. I'll be like, oh, all right. You like jokes, eh? All right. I got a joke for you. At my last job, they asked me, and during my interview, hey, do you have a degree in theoretical physics? I said, yeah, sure. Theoretically. Anyway, but I came in with a fresh perspective, and I loved it. I had a great time. I'm going to look forward to watching some more Voyager in the future, and maybe, if I'm feeling generous, might even watch some Enterprise.
Yeah. Keep on this road. This is exciting.
Yes, because I feel like there's these Voyager and Enterprise are kind of my blind spots with Star Trek. Like, I know I'd say more than a lot of, like, I don't know, the average Joe on the street who eats Starbucks and buys coffee from Chili's. But I feel like my Star Trek knowledge is really lacking there, so I'm excited to rewatch these.
All right, and that'll do it for now. Next time on Star Trek Wars, Jordan and Jocelyn return to cover the final season of Discovery. And if you want to participate in scoring and discussing Discovery's final 10 episodes, head over to our Facebook page and join the Star Trek Wars Council. You can find us by searching for Star Trek Wars. The council should pop up right at the top. So join, comment, and your comments could be potentially read on air. It's a great community. We're all on there, very active, and love talking Trek with you. The entire catalog of Star Trek Wars is now available on Spotify for the first time ever. Yep, all 10 seasons on Spotify. So please leave us a thumbs up or however it works over there. I don't really know. But whatever it is that you can leave a positive, please do so.
Yeah, or a sticky note written in your own blood, mailed to us.
It all works.
Yeah, either one boosts the algorithms, man. The gods are strange.
You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else fine podcasts are heard. And if you want to support us in a non-financial way, you can also leave a iTunes Apple Podcast review. That might not seem like much, but it is, of course, huge for the rhythms. You can also cheese us a tweet over on the X at the Star Trek Wars.
Elon, please send us crypto.
That place is a cesspool. Hearing from you would be a wonderful escape from the constant transphobia and Nazi propaganda. Leave a comment on one of our posts, and you might just be the only one that's not a sex bot. So, please.
What is happening over
It's a
on
disaster.
Twitter? I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to dead name Elon's pet app.
It's Kursk all over again. And I'm all out of tanks, baby.
If only they built more Panzer IVs.
If you'd like to write us or send an audio comment, you can email us at StarTrekWarsPod@gmail.com. Connor, always a pleasure. We're taking a break, but they can see us over at Bonding. Where else can they find you?
You can not only find me bonding together, but bonding apart. Yeah, and that's our new podcast where we talk about. One moment.
Sure.
Oh, I'm gonna think of something good.
Gather your thoughts.
And when I do, the whole world's gonna have a good old chuckle. Yep, I'll tell you what we freaking talk about. Life.
That sounds great.
And that ain't no joke.
That'll do it for now and for us, releasing docking clamps and plotting a course for a brand new season of Star Trek. Ahoy. Let's fly.
Excelsior!
Star Trek Wars. Star Trek Wars. We're not too hard force. Star Trek Wars. Star Trek Wars. Star Trek Wars.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.